Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be going through how we can retrieve result sets from database tables using the select SQL command. And we'll also be going through lots of other options and clauses we can use along with select. I will be using a Postgres database along with dbeaver, so if you want to download them and follow along, the links are in the description of this video. And I will be selecting data from an authors table and a books table, and the SQL scripts to create these tables and insert the data are on my GitHub, which is also linked in the description. So you can copy and paste those scripts, run the commands and follow along with this video. So firstly, we're going to look at how we can retrieve all data from a table. We can select star from table name. So I'm going to select star from authors, and basically this star will select all the columns and all the records in the table. So if we run this, it's returned all the data in our authors table, and we can also select star from books. And you can see it's returned all the data in our books table. We can also select particular columns from a table using this syntax. Select column name 1, comma, column name 2 from table name. So let's select first name and last name from authors. And if we run this, you can see it's returned all the records, but for only the first name and last name columns. And you can select as many columns as you like, they just have to be comma separated. So as a mini challenge, in the comments section, write a SQL query to return any 3 columns from the books table. So far we've looked at returning all the records from a table, but we can actually filter this result set based on a column condition. So to do that, we use a where clause. We say where column name is equal to a particular value. So we can select star from authors, and we can say where nationality is equal to UK. So if we run this, you can see it's returned all the columns within the authors table, but only where nationality is equal to UK. And when you're using a where clause where a column is equal to a value, this is case sensitive, so we couldn't use lowercase UK. You can see it just returns an empty result set as there's no match for lowercase UK. We can also use as many where clauses as we like in our SQL statements, in our select queries. We just have to separate them with this and. So where column name equals value and column name equals value. So if I copy and paste this and I add another where clause, I say and last name equal to Tolkien. Now any results would have to match both of these clauses. They would have to have a nationality of UK and a last name of Tolkien. So you can see we have 2 results which match both of these conditions. J.R.R. Tolkien, UK, and Christopher Tolkien, UK. And we could continue to add as many where clauses as we needed. We can also use or. So this means that any results would only have to match one of the where clauses. So we can say or last name equal to Martin. And if we run this, you can see it returns all the UK nationality authors, but it's also returned George R.R. Martin, who has a nationality of USA, and that's because he matches this where clause here. And in our where clauses, we don't have to use this equals sign. We can use greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. So let's select book title, copies sold from books, and let's say where copies sold greater than 25 million. If we run this, you can see it's returned all the books which have a copy sold value above 25 million. And if we were to do greater than or equal to, you can see it's returned all books which have sold more than 25 million or exactly 25 million. So we have a Game of Thrones which has sold 25 million, and we have a few more down here as well. We can also use less than, so where copy sold is less than 25 million, and you can see it's returned all books which have sold under 25 million, which is quite a few. And we can also use less than or equal to. And this returns all the books which have sold 25 million or fewer. And we can also use these greater than and less than operators on date columns as well. So if we add publication date to our select query and then say where publication date is greater than 1999 December the 31st, you can see it's returned all books with a publication date after this date, so in the 21st century. And if we were to use less than, you can see it's returned all the books which have a publication date before this date. We can also select data between two values using this between value 1 and value 2 syntax. So let's copy and paste this. Let's select book ID as well. And let's say where book ID between 3 and 8. And you can see it's returned all the books which have a book ID between 3 and 8, including 3 and 8. And we can also use this with data types such as the publication date column as well. So as a mini challenge, in the comments, post a SQL query using the between statement to return all books published in the decade of the 1980s. So this can be done with a between statement. So write that down in the comments of this video. We can also filter result sets based off of string pattern matching using this like statement or this like command. So we can say where a column name is like a particular pattern, and then we can have either this underscore or this modulus or percentage sign. So this is going to return any column values which match this pattern. And the underscore matches exactly one character. So not 0, not 2, not 10, exactly 1. And then the percentage sign matches any number of characters after the pattern or before the pattern, including 0. So let's have a look at a few examples. Let's select first name, last name from authors where first name like, open a pair of single quotes, and let's write George with a percentage sign and end with a semicolon. So if we run this, you can see it returns two results. It returns George Orwell because he has a first name of George, so it matched this string here. And then remember, percentage sign is 0 or many characters after the pattern. And it also returns George R.R. Martin as it matched on George and then any number of characters after George. If we were to change this percentage sign to an underscore, it returns 0 results because it is looking for a string of George plus one other character, so any other character after George. There are no matching results, so it's returned an empty data set or an empty result set. If we just get rid of the E and then rerun it, you can see now it's returned George. You can see now it's returned George Orwell because it's matched Georg and then one character, the E, but it hasn't returned George R.R. Martin. We can use as many underscores as we want, so we can do 2 underscores ORG underscore. That's also returned George Orwell as it's matched GE ORG E. And we can use 2 percentage signs in the same statement as well. So if we run this, you can see it's returned George and George R.R. Martin as it's matched any number of characters before the ORG and then any number of characters after the ORG. And if we got rid of the G, we should get more results. Yeah, so it's matched the OR in Cormac and the OR at the end of Theodore. And just to show you one with an underscore and a percentage sign in the same query, this is returned Cormac McCarthy, so it's matched one character, the C, then the OR, and then any number of characters. We can also filter column data equal to more than one value. So before we've had column name equal to a particular value, but if we use column name in, we can then open a pair of brackets and pass it multiple values that we want this column to equal. So we can select star from authors where nationality in UK, USA or France. End with a semicolon, and if we run this, it's returned all authors which have a nationality either of the UK, USA or France. And then we can also use not in to exclude these values in the results set. So if we copy and paste and then just say nationality where nationality is not in UK, USA or France, it's returned all the authors which do not have any of these 3 nationalities. So we can also order our result set by a column, and we do this with order by column name, and then that can either be in descending value or in ascending values, which is ASC. So let's select star from books, so all the data from books, and let's order by copies sold in descending order. So if we run this, returned all the data in the books table, and it's ordered by copies sold in descending order, so from highest to lowest. So we have The Little Prince with 200 million copies sold, then it goes down and down, so we have Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, until eventually we're getting all the way down to the books which have sold under 20 million, under 10 million, and then all the way down to 250,000. And we can change this to ascending order. And now if we run this, you can see the first result returned is the lowest value in the copy sold column, and it's in ascending order all the way up to The Little Prince. Now you don't have to pass the ascending or descending keywords. You can just order by a column without putting that, and by default it will order them in ascending order. So the default is ascending, but you can state whether you want it in descending or ascending order. And we can also add a where clause in with our order by. We can say where copies sold greater than or equal to 50 million. And if we run this, you can see we have the result set in ascending order by copies sold, starting with 50 million all the way up to The Little Prince of 200 million. So as a mini challenge, in the comments write a query to return an ordered result set for French, Spanish and Italian authors ordered on any column that you like. So write that query in the comment section and I'll let you know if your query is correct. We can also limit the number of results returned in the result set. Maybe we don't want all the records returned, we only want the top 5 returns, let's say. So the syntax for limiting the number of records returned in a result set is to use this limit followed by the number of records you want returned. So we can select book title, copies sold, from books, we can order by copies sold in descending order, and then we can say limit 5. And if we run this, you can see it's ordered the books table by copy sold in descending order. It's returned the book title and copy sold columns, but it's only returned the top 5 results. So we have the 5 highest selling books returned in descending order. We can also just change this to 10 or any number that you like, and you can see it's returned 10 results. We can also deal with any null values or missing data that we have in our tables. So the syntax for dealing with null values is to use this where column name is not null or where column name is null, depending on what you want returned. So let's say you didn't want any null values returned, you can use is not null. If you did want only null values returned, so you're checking where we have missing data, you can use is null. So let's select star from authors where date of death is not null. So if we run this, you can see it's only returned the authors which have a value in the date of death column. So it's removed all the records where date of death is a null value, and it's only returned the living authors. If you wanted the opposite, you could just remove the not. So now this will return, that returned only the dead authors as they have a date of death, and this will return only the living authors as they do not have a date of death. And finally, we can set column name aliases in the results set by using this syntax. Select column name 1 as new column name 2 as new column name 2 from table name. So let's say we wanted to change some of these values in our results set. We can select last name as surname. We can select nationality as country from authors. And if we run this, you can see it's returned the 2 columns, so the last name column and the nationality column, but they've been named as surname and country are column name aliases in the results set. So this renaming is only in the results set. We haven't changed the names of the columns in the tables themselves. So this is how you would change the name of a column in a results set to something which is more readable. So that's everything I wanted to go through in this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned a lot from it. If you want to learn even more about SQL and databases, I have a 12.5-hour SQL course hosted on Udemy, which goes through creating databases, inserting data into tables, more advanced queries such as joins, aggregated functions, subqueries, window functions, string functions, conditional statements. So you can check out this course by clicking on the link at the top of the description. Hopefully I'll see you there, and once again, thank you for watching.